I'm Lucid Fiasco, and welcome to Titanfall 2 Tips and Tricks. Northstar, the death from above Titan that doesn't get nearly enough love. Here we're going to talk about how to best utilize the thinking man's Titan. Northstar is first and foremost all about smart positioning. Your job is not to push the enemy Titans, it's to sit back and provide support, taking away huge chunks of health from enemies and drawing their attention, making life easier for your teammates on the front lines. Make sure that you're aware of enemy positions on the map and use your teammates to guard your flanks, if possible. Also, remember to shoot out multiple tether traps just in case an enemy gets a little too close for comfort. This will not only stop their progress, but will make them sitting ducks for your cluster missile. Also, you can have many tether traps on the map, so don't be stingy. Go ahead and use them as they replenish. My mantra with Northstar that I find useful is peek and pop. Charge up your railgun, peek out for just long enough to get off an accurate shot and cluster missile if you have one, and then dash back into cover. You don't have much health. Don't give Tone time to lock on or Legion time to charge up his Predator cannon. Do your damage before they can even react. One single well-placed railgun shot can take out a full bar of health from a Titan. That means only 4 or 5 good shots to take down a Tone or Ion. This is deadly damage, but only if you position yourself well enough to stay alive. As Northstar, you should never be one of the first Titans to die and last Titan standing. If you are, you have either caught yourself in a very bad situation, or you're simply not playing to Northstar's strengths. So, which Northstar kits should we use to maximize our effectiveness? Well, extra dash is a good choice, but I find that if I'm playing Northstar correctly, I often don't find myself needing that extra dash. Honestly, it's personal preference with this kit, though I wouldn't suggest nuke eject because you're generally going to be far away from enemies when you become doomed. For our Northstar kit, there are a lot of viable options. Viper thrusters give you more speed and control in air, making the hover ability a little more useful and less risky. Still, be careful though, as flying Titans stick out like a sore thumb. Viper thrusters also improve your speed during flight core movement, which is nice. My favorite choice here though is enhanced payload, which enhances the radius and damage of your cluster missile. The cluster is one of the biggest weapons as Northstar, and using this kit can allow you to devastate enemy Titans who can't escape its damage area. Also, you can use the cluster as a last resort should an enemy rush you. Simply shoot the cluster between you and the enemy and force them to soak up the damage to close that distance. With how integral the cluster is to Northstar's overall effectiveness, I can't pass up the chance to make it even more potent. Definitely try out the other kits, as all can be useful depending on the user, but enhanced payload is my go-to. So we've covered how to deal with enemy Titans as Northstar. Well, what about enemy pilots? Well, you have limited options. First, your railgun can take out pilots, but try not to charge up your shot too much, as this actually makes your projectile travel time a little slower. If you're having trouble using the railgun to deal with those pesky pilots, give them a nice juicy cluster missile. This can clear out entire rooms, which is very useful if you're facing pilots who are shooting from windows and then hiding once you take notice. You can't hide from a cluster missile. Just be careful not to use up your cluster if there's an enemy Titan nearby, and don't be afraid to simply distance yourself from enemy pilots. One other tip, you can use your hover ability to attack enemy pilots who think that they have a safe vantage point above you. Silly pilots. Finally, let's talk about Flight Core, Northstar's core ability. This is a tricky core to use, probably the most difficult in the game. First, note that you can use it to take out pilots who are harassing you with anti-Titan weapons. Sometimes this is truly the best use of Flight Core, as it isn't always successful against enemy Titans. Speaking of Titans, be very careful when you use this core against them. If you're facing Tone or Legion, they can pretty much melt you while you're in the air. If possible, try to use Flight Core against Ronin, Scorch, or a fellow Northstar, as they simply aren't able to blow you out of the sky in seconds. One final tip here, remember that Northstar's railgun is great at punching through shields. Just 1 or 2 shots will take out Tone's particle wall or Legion's gun shield. This is an immense help to your team. Also, 1 charged railgun shot can take out a pilot turret, so keep your eye out for those as well. With that, it's time to wrap up this video on Northstar, a Titan that can be a superstar in the right hands. If you learned something or enjoyed this video, consider subscribing or checking out my channel for more Titanfall content, including tips and tricks for other Titans. As always, feel free to comment with any suggestions for improvements of these videos or for future content. Thanks for watching.